This is my vlog 93 and I'm on my way to 100 vlogs. Actually, I have the problem right now of talking about something because I don't have anything interesting to retell in English, and I don't have any ideas about which I want to talk, and I'm not going to talk in this video the way I can do the vocal diary. But it's not a problem for me. It's not the problem it was back then, maybe 10, when I had only 10 videos or maybe 20 videos, because I can find any idea. Well, I can talk on anything. I just need to find an idea, and it's not really difficult right now. So the current thing I have in my mind about the content for this video is I'm going to retell. Oh, I have forgotten. I'm going to retell some stories from the collection of stories called beta testers, maybe the beta testers. At some point, maybe 2003 to 2011, there was a computer game magazine which was published in Russia. It was called «Лучшие компьютерные игры», the best computer games, and this magazine has a specific. It was a spin-off of some major computer magazine, I think Gromozeka. But yeah, it was a spin-off, but the idea was to describe the best computer games, the secrets, the walkthrough in most computer magazines which are published once a month, like PC Gamer, and I believe in Gromozeka. They should make the reviews of the most recent games which are scheduled to be published, to be I don't know, let's say published this month or were published the previous month, so that it's more like the newspaper about the news in the computer games world. But the best computer games magazine was about concentrating on the best stuff from the previous year, the several previous years, and it had some additional content which was not related to the computer games directly. One of these articles, one of these columns was this set of fiction stories written by one guy called Призрак, the ghost, and he wrote one story per month, Sometimes the stories were quite long, so it took 2 or even 3 magazines, 3 months to publish the whole story. And the total number of the stories about 42, which means that maybe it took about 50 magazines to publish these stories, and this process lasted for 4 years, I think, 4 years. We have 12 months in a year, a magazine per month, 12 magazines a year, so about for 4 years to publish 50 stories. Anyway, at some point the ghost guy ran out of ideas. He stopped publishing his stories, and some time later he published them as the individual book, the collection of these funny stories. This is where I was introduced to these stories by my friend, and since then they became one of my favorite books. Though they are written in Russian, they are written with very funny colloquial language, and it's really funny to reread this stuff. The plot of the stories is quite interesting as well. So I decided that for this particular video, well, actually, at some point I should continue with my programming stuff. Like, I should continue to comment on my last Code Wars scripts. But for now, I decided to talk about these beta testers stories. The way I can describe them to some person from the foreign country who doesn't know English or doesn't know Russian, but with whom I can communicate in Russian, and I can describe these stories to this person, because the stories definitely are not translated, and they won't be translated in English. So the setting for these stories, when they were written 20 years ago, the setting was 2040, when the technology reached the level of the virtual reality, with special costumes, when a player puts on the costumes and a player puts on the costume and has the full dive into the game, like the complete switch over the like consciousness into the game, full dive, like the dream. It's kind of like Matrix. Yeah, I believe that this guy was inspired by the Matrix, and maybe by the second and the third movies, because he started to publish this stuff in 2004. It's like just after the third movie was add. Anyway, in contrast to in contrast to the Matrix, when the characters died in the game, they had just unpleasant feelings that were introduced by the game developers through the possible reactions or something which this computer or virtual game suit can produce without being too harmful to a person. Yeah, so basically the collection of the stories is about the beta testers who played some games on their own because they liked them, or because they were paid to walk through the game and finish it, and to discover lots of secrets and other stuff. This is kind of the same stuff as the person who the correspondent for the computer game magazine walks through the games and then writes the description of his experience in the game. But this way the dive submersion in the game submersion in the game was very deep. Well, and the story were quite interesting. So I'll start somewhere, not in the beginning, but somewhere with the story I like. With the story I like, which means let's I can name maybe 5 stories which I like to reread, and they are my favorite stories. But then I have let's say 10 or maybe 20 stories which I just like, and the rest 20 stories I don't like very much, but in the end they are better than anything else. So most of the books which I read only once. So let's see, I'll try to retell the story, maybe with the dialogues, maybe just giving the description, the brief review, the same way in the articles in Wikipedia, the movies, the plots of the movies are described. So we have this like I'm not sure what is the name of the story, maybe something about Gromozeka is in the city. Anyway, the story starts with the Banzai, who is the analyst, who is the analyst of this beta testers team. He is quite old, maybe 60 years old, maybe more, and he coordinates the team, usually from the computer office, out of the reality. Not out of, but from the reality. He observes all the rest of 5 players on the computer screens and communicates with each of them. And he performs this coordination because he had the plans for the games and other stuff. He can say where the characters are in the game, at least not in the game, but on the particular level. And but sometimes he gets into the game himself and plays as the character of the game. Anyway, in this particular story, it was May, and the computer players around the country usually move to May vacations. Like, they go into the woods for a week to live in the nature, to burn fires, to sing songs, kind of live in the wild, just to rest a little bit from the computers. And the beta testers team was going to this my vacations as well. So Banzai, this old guy, he checked the computers. He checked the forums, computer game forums, for the last time before going to the vacation. He checked the news, the latest updates, and he discovered something, but we don't know what. So he thought it can't be. It can't be. He cried to himself in anxiety. Then he checked several other forums. He jumped from his chair, got the paper out of the sheet of the paper out of the printer, and ran across the room, trying to find something to write. And soon the room became silent, and only the computers produced some noise, like the working hard drives and the coolers and the power blocks. And soon 2 other players came, Mahmoud and Xenobite. They came to get the Banzai and to move to this Mayovka thing. Okay. Xenobite tried to take secretly his laptop to this May vacations in the woods, because last time he I'm not sure about this. Okay. Last time or not? Okay, it doesn't matter what was last time. Just he wanted to take his laptop to the woods, but Mahmoud discovered his secret plan and tried to get the laptop out of his backpack. When suddenly Xenobite noticed that Banzai was inside the virtual reality, Xenobite checked where the old analyst was. It was the online game, the Epocha Chimer, the epoch of Chimera's epoch. It was not the first introduction to the game, because there were a couple of stories based in this game, but it's just a huge online multiplayer game where everybody played, and it was set in some fantasy reality, like elves, dwarves, vampires, dragons, and stuff. So, what's with our old analyst? Xenobite asked. He checked Banzai's computer and discovered that Banzai set the 3-level block on the interruption of his existence in the virtual reality. Why is that? Asked Xenobite. Mahmoud suggested, let's just pull the plug out of the socket. No, said Xenobite, let's check why this old man went through such difficulties to establish, to create such secure connection. Xenobite ran through the forums very quickly. Yeah, you know, they write something about Gromozeka in Burgundy, but I can't get the clear information. Okay, said Mahmoud, I go into the virtual reality myself, and I'll try to intercept our old madman there. And you check the forums and contact Melissa and others. Xenobite discovered about Gromozeka. I heard about it somewhere, but I don't remember where. Then the phone rang, and that was Vnuchka. Do you already know what is going on in Chimera's epoch? She asked. Yeah, Gromozeka is in the city, answered Xenobite. So, you know that. Okay, there was some strange conversation, some funny conversation. I needed to read the text to recall the idea, but Xenobite asked Mushka to come to their office, and get the others as well. So he and Vnuchka got into the suits and connected themselves to the game. He had a character of Nosferatu. Vnuchka was just a human girl character, and they were going through the woods towards the main road which led to and from Burgundia. Burgundia was one of the biggest cities on the server, and it was the main city of their area. So they met in this city from time to time, all the characters. When they got on the main road, Xenobite and Vnuchka saw that all the characters who lived in Burgundia now were the refugees. The long queue of people with their belongings moved from Burgundia, and they got some information that there was Gromozeka in the city, and now the only way to survive was to left the city. Anyway, when Xenobite and Vnuchka reached Burgundia, it looks like my own castle in Transylvania, said Xenobite in surprise, because one of the most beautiful cities in the game, on the server, with previously white walls and beautiful, decorations over the walls. Now it was covered with black cinder, the black smoke raised above the walls, and there was a small party of resistance near the north walls. There were soldiers who who resisted the attacks of zombies, who tried to get out of the city. There were dwarves who created arrows and crystals for this resistance, and Ritterhund was the commander of this group. What's going on? Asked Xenobite. We have the situation here. Somehow Gromozeka, who was the A-class, A-class monster, came here and started all these riots in the city. Said Ritterhund. So they exchanged the information that for some reason Gromozeka lived somewhere far away in the abandoned areas, and to kill him several alliances should join together and fight against this monster. But Gromozeka had the ability to raise up corpse into the zombies, but in his natural habitat there were no dead around, only the players who came to slay him and were killed. So that's why that was perfectly normal in his natural habitat, but when he reached the Burgundian cemetery with all the dead, who was records of all the deaths around this district, he had the unlimited he had the unlimited resource of for creating the undead. Anyway, Cenobite suggested to get into the city. I have a friend there who works in the bank. I can reach him. No, maybe I can reach him, get out some money or anything else, and equip myself, and then I try to figure out how to defeat this Gromozeka. Ritterhund wished them, "Good luck, guys. We will avenge you if something happens to you." So Vnuchka and Cenobite entered the city. Cenobite killed some of zombies, and they reached the area where they found Mahmoud and Banzai as the dwarfs. They created the barricade and they fought against some creatures from the inner Mongolia. When Cenobite and Vnuchka came and helped Banzai and Mahmoud to defend Banzai's store, Banzai started to open the store. Then there was some dialogue, like Cenobite read the name of the store, the advertisement for the store, like so this supply of anything you want, like weapons and armor and just raw materials and magic stuff. Who taught you to write the advertisements? Banzai asks Cenobite. Well, last week I finally decided to started my own business, not just jumping on the square and suggesting the goods to the people walking around, but to buy my own shop and to accept people here. So you just made all this fuss about your own goods, not my goods. They are our goods. And at this moment, Cenobite remembered, you asked me to lend you some money last week. Yeah, and I put this money into this shop. But I I kind of guaranteed this money with my own castle. It means if if we lost all this money, then I lost my castle. That's why we need to protect this shop. When finally Banzai opened the door, they went inside. They walked through this office, through this room for the customers, and then into the back room, into the back office, where Banzai opened the trap door in the wall, in the floor, and they got into the underground room where everything was stored. Wow, said Shinabite. It looks like this room goes under the whole district. There were lots of different stuffs, and when all the rest of the beta testers came to Banzai's office, they equipped each other with this something. With what? They equipped each other. They equipped themselves with this magical goods and weapons and armor from Banzai's cellar, and they discussed the plan how to deal with Gromozeka. So Xenobite had a super cloak which increased the resistance in twice, and he had the latest model of the staff with the fast cast ability of the spell, and he had this ribbons or something of the crystals which were used to cast the spells. Mahmed, who was the sniper in this team, he had this crossbow with some ancient runes engraved in it. Vnuchka, who was the healer in the game, she was Han with she was Han. No, lots of bottles like potions, healing potions, mana potions were hanging over her. Anyway, all the beta testers were in Banzai's office, and they started the discussion what to do next. Melissa started. Melissa was the stealth player, and she usually collected the information about the game and she was responsible for discovering different secrets and solving the riddles. Anyway, what should we do next? Asked Banzai. Till now, only zombies came here, and we could resist the attacks. But sooner or later, Gromozeka will come itself here, and then it will be the end for us and for our shop. how does Gromozeka looks anyway? How does this Gromozeka look anyway? Asked whoever. Xenobite. Mahmed, you are the specialist for Inner Mongolia, so you should know. Why me? I walk around. I swerve around the area where Gromozeka lives. Lives because he is too strong for me, and I'm not interested in his territory. So, said Banzai, let's start with this. How did Gromozeka come to this city? Well, he could come here only through the portal. No. Maybe Vnuchka suggested, maybe he was brought on the tail by some player. What do you mean? Well, like when you are too weak and you fight against a strong monster, then you run away and this monster follows you, and then you run into the city and you hope that some strong characters will kill this monster for you. But no one can run away from Gromozeka from Inner Mongolia. But if this someone took a portal and here you run, because a weak character, because this type of monster like Gromozeka could not went through the portal. But if it was I don't know the name in Russian, in English. What if it was the portal for the good? And here you run. Oh, okay. Because none of weak characters, none of weak players who will run from the monster instead of trying to kill it can have this load portal, goods portal. And no, if this goblin caster, if it's the goblin caster, it gets this portal, type of the portal, right from the beginning. It's a weak character, and it's usually used by the teams to move through these portals, which are quite an advanced magic. But when you have this goblin caster, you have this portal for free. Then Xenobite had an idea. Okay, let's find this goblin of caster and finally resolve this stuff with Gromozeka. So Xenobite turned himself and Vnuchka into zombies. They followed the squad of zombies who moved in the patterns. Xenobite made a discovery. they moved in they walked through some particular routes, and they investigated all the city except for this square of 100 saints. This is the square where all the temples of all the religions on the server are built, and Christian and shaman and orcs and others and elves, and they don't go into these temples because they don't like it. They don't like this aura. If they saw the goblin inside, they would definitely go inside and capture him and grab him, but they don't see him. That's why they just walk around. And at this moment, this zombie squad was intercepted by the different warriors, like priests and shamans and other religious characters from different races. And okay, they fought against the zombies. Then Xenobite showed his identity and asked why I didn't see you when I was a zombie. Because zombies could not see through invisibility. If this invisibility combined with the some saint aura. And Xenobite made a discovery. I believe that our goblin caster uses the invisibility and he stays within this one of the temples. That's why zombies can't see him. So he checked several of the temples and he found this goblin inside of the temple, and he grabbed him and brought him to Banzai's shop. There they had a short conversation with the goblin who was called Munya. The goblin said this story that he just kicked the Gromozeka and jumped into the portal, but Gromozeka followed him, and finally Gromozeka got into the Burgundia. So Xenobite had a plan. He gave Banzai some recipe to create some potion. Then he made the goblin drink this potion, and he asked everybody, like Vnuchka and all those priests and shamans he met earlier, to cast all possible magic spells on the goblin, like the health, the stamina, the speed, and other stuff. And Gromozeka felt the goblin, and he was heading into this direction when Xenobite gave Munya some orders, like the goblin should pass Gromozeka as far as close as possible, and then ran through the gates out of the city, so that Gromozeka will follow him and leave the city with his zombies. So Munya ran forward and he overpassed the sound barrier. He was such quick. And Gromozeka followed him, and later in the office, Melissa checked the forum and announced the latest news that Munya ran out of Burgundy and he crossed half of the continent in 15 minutes through elves' groves, some magic forests, fields, and other stuff. And Gromozeka and his army followed him. And then Munya ran into the mountain, into the rock, and died. And in that place, the cave appeared now. Of course, the character didn't die completely. Munya resurrected later somewhere, but the fact remains. Yeah. And the road which was created by Munya when he ran with this speed of sound, and which was carved maybe by Gromozeka, who followed him. The administrators who returned from their own May vacations called this road the boulevard of Gromozeka, or Gromozeka's boulevard, and they decided to keep this as the new road, then just trying to repair the damage which was caused by Gromozeka. And finally, the beta testers asked each other how this Gromozeka looks anyway, and asked how this Gromozeka looked anyway, and no one can answer. So Xenobite concluded, "Тайна сия велика есть," or "This is a huge mystery," which was the quotation from the Bible, from the Apostles' deeds, I think. So yeah, I think I have about 40 minutes of talking. The story is really simple and it is quite short, but when I try to describe it, first I needed to record the details, then I chose between the dialogues and the more narrative type of the story. And even with this, it was hard for me because sometimes I didn't have the basic keywords which I could use to move the story forward, so I needed to find some synonyms. Anyway, it was an interesting example of retelling a Russian story, which I know quite well, in English. Maybe I should do this stuff later, retelling some fairy tales which I know from English. No, from Russian. In English, I won't I won't improve my vocabulary this way because I can't get the necessary words talking about something, but at least I can practice this particular type of activity, and it is quite interesting. Retelling the story with the plot, or even trying to have these dialogues based on the knowledge I know in Russian, but using the words I have acquired in English. So later I'll try to retell some other stories from beta testers, and I think that's all for today, for this lecture number 93.